So welcome students. So this is lecture number 8 and lecture number 7 we discussed about optical isomerism in octahedral complex, and today we are going to discuss about nature of the bond. This nature of the bond can be explained by using of three theories. So one is Werner's theory, valency bond theory and crystal field theory. These three theories describes the magnetic properties and spectrochemical properties and hybridization in the compound. Okay, and
Competitive point of view, these three theories are very important to learn.
so first theory is Werner's theory, so we'll discuss that. According to Werner's theory, the central metal atom in coordination compound exhibit two types of valencies. One is primary valency and second one is secondary valency. So this primary valency is ionizable and the secondary valency is non-ionizable. And this primary valency satisfies the oxidation state on the coordination sphere, and the secondary valency is nothing but the number of ligands which is attached to the central metal atom. Okay, so this secondary valency is directional nature and primary valency is non-directional nature because it is ionized and gives ions, and secondary valency is number of ligands which is attached to the central metal atom, and it is called as a directional nature. Primary valency is represented with dotted lines. Primary valency is represented with dotted lines and secondary valency is represented with thick lines. Okay, and every coordination compound has fixed number of secondary valency. So if it is octahedral complex, 6 secondary valencies are present. If it is tetrahedral complex, 4 secondary valencies are present. Okay, according to that secondary valency, the geometry of the molecule can be decided. So if 6 secondary valency, it is octahedral complex and the shape of the molecule will be octahedral. So like this. So this is octahedral complex, octahedral geometry. And if secondary valence is 4, so it has two types of geometries. One is square planar complex, another one is tetrahedral geometry, like this. So like that, according to that secondary valency, the shape or geometry of the molecule can be decided. So that's why it is called as a directional nature. Secondary valency is called directional nature. Okay, when compound like COCl3 and 6NH3 react with AgNO3 and it forms 3 moles of AgCl precipitate. So according to this reaction, so that Werner's decided the structure of the compound. Now here the primary valency is 3, so that's why it forms 3 moles of AgCl, and here secondary valency is 6, and according to that secondary valency, and he decided that structure of the molecule, and here the primary valency is decided the 3 because the number of chlorines are ionizable and it forms 3 moles of AgCl. So let us take one more example, CO, Cl3 and 5NH3. In this case, one secondary valency is shortage, so that one chlorine can act as a one secondary valency, and CO, NH3 5 times and Cl, another 2 chlorines acts as a primary valency, so it is ionizable, and now when it is react with AgNO3 and it forms 2 moles of AgCl. So because here 2 chlorines are present in the ionic sphere, so it is ionizable, and whereas another chlorine, so that chlorine can satisfy the primary valency as well as secondary valency. So the structure of this compound can be represented like this. So this is chlorine, so this is secondary valency and as well as primary valency is satisfied by this chlorine, and this is NH3. NH3 and NH3. So this is the structure of this molecule. So based on that precipitation, the number of moles of precipitation, we decide the structure of the molecule. So that is about Werner's theory. Okay. The main drawbacks of the Werner's theory is he could not explain the magnetic properties of the compounds, and here we discussed that secondary valency is directional nature and which decides the shape of the molecule. Why the secondary valency is directional nature, he could not explain. Okay, that is the two main drawbacks of the Werner's theory. So these two drawbacks can be overcome by the valency bond theory, and this valency bond theory was introduced by Pauling. So according to that valency bond theory, so here some postulates are introduced, and hybridization concept also introduced in this valency bond theory. The first postulate of the valency bond theory is, so the number of ligands is attached to the central metal atom. The ligands donates the pair of electrons, and that central metal atom has tendency to accept the pair of electrons, which means the central metal atom should accept the pair of electrons. It is Lewis acid, and that ligands acts as a Lewis basis. So the number of electrons donated by the ligands and that much of vacant orbitals makes available in the central metal atom. So that is the first postulates of the valency bond theory. Okay, and second point is vacant orbitals participate in hybridization. The central metal atom has vacant orbitals. That vacant orbitals are intermixing and redistribute and forms a new set of orbitals. It is called hybrid orbitals. Okay, that is the second point. And third point, coordination number 4. If coordination number 4 or number of ligands are 4, so the hybridization may be sp3. If sp3 hybridization, it is tetrahedral geometry.
In case of coordination number 4, another type of hybridization is also possible, that is dsp2, and dsp2 has square planar complex geometry, square planar complex.
And if coordination number 5, so it is sp3d hybridization. So it is pentagonal bipyramidal, and if it is coordination number 6, here two types of hybridization can be observed. One is sp3d2 and second one is d2sp3. And in this case sp3d2, the outer d orbitals are participated like 4d, and in case of d2sp3, inner d orbitals like 3d orbitals are participated. So this is called outer d orbital hybridization, this is inner d orbital hybridization. sp3d2 or d2sp3, whatever it may be, has octahedral geometry. Okay, and if the coordination compounds has unpaired of electrons, so it is called as a paramagnetic character. If the coordination compound does not contain any unpaired of electron, only paired of electrons, so that kind of process we are calling as a diamagnetic character. Okay, so that paramagnetic character can be measured by using a bar magnet. That bar magnet value can be represented as a root over n into n plus 2, where n is number of unpaired of electrons. Okay, so here n is number of unpaired of electrons. So this is the formula for calculating the bar magnet value. This is some postulates regarding that valency bond theory. So first one is the number of vacant orbitals makes available in the central metal atom, which is equals to the ligands, and second one is the number of vacant orbitals participated in a hybridization in central metal atom.
Geometry of the molecule and hybridization is depending on the coordination number.
And here the number of unpaired of electrons. If number of unpaired of electron is there, then it is called as a paramagnetic nature. If there is no unpaired of electrons, so then it is treated as a diamagnetic character. The paramagnetic character can be represented by Bohr magnetic value. That Bohr magnetic value is calculated by using of this formula root over n into n plus 2. N is number of unpaired of electrons. So that is about valency bond theory. Now we'll discuss some examples regarding this valency bond theory. The first example is hexaamine chromium 3 compound. In order to find out the hybridization and magnetic properties, so first we have to find out the oxidation state on the center metal atom. And here ammonia is neutral ligand. So here chromium 6 into 0 equals to plus 3. The oxidation state of the chromium is plus 3. So if it is plus 3 means it loses 3 electrons from the chromium. So let us take electron configuration of the chromium. So argon and 3d5, 4s1 and 4p0 and 4d0. It loses 3 electrons, 1 electron from the s orbital and 2 electrons from the d orbital. 1, 2, 3, 5. So 2 electrons losing from the d orbital. So here 3 electrons are available and 2 d orbitals, vacant d orbitals are available, and 1 s orbital and 3 vacant p orbitals. And now here 2 d orbitals and 1 s orbital and 3 d orbitals are intermixing and it forms d2sp3 hybridization. And here 6 ligands can be donates these 6 pair of electrons to the vacant orbitals, 6 vacant orbitals. So the bond formed between ligand and central metal atom. And here 3 unpaired of electrons is there. Due to this 3 unpaired of electron, it is paramagnetic nature, and that Bohr magnetic value can be estimated by using of this formula root over n into n plus 2. So root over 3 into 3 plus 2. Okay, this is Bohr magnetic value. Let us try another example. Next example is hexacyanoferrate ion. Hexacyanoferrate 2 ion. So here this is negative complex. So the IUPAC name of this compound is hexacyanoferrate 2 ion. Now first step is to find out the oxidation state on the center metal atom. Now this cyanide is negative ligand. Fe plus 6 into minus 1 equals to minus 4. So the oxidation state of center metal atom is plus 2. Okay. So argon 3d6 and 4s2 and 4p0 and 4d0. And now 2 electrons is losing from the s orbital. So 4s0 and 6 electrons are available in the d orbitals. So let us represent as box diagram 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, this 4s0 let us represent with box diagram, and 4p is also there. So 4p, and now here 6 electrons are there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this s orbital is vacant and p orbital is vacant. So that cyanide is treated as a strong ligand. In presence of strong ligand, so the number of electrons will be paired up. So now so here 2 vacant d orbitals are available. So 1 s orbital and 3 p orbitals, and these 2 d orbitals, 1 s orbital and 3 p orbitals intermixing and forms d2sp3. And here 6 ligands can donate the pair of electrons to the 6 d2sp3 hybridization orbital. So the bond is formed. All are paired electrons, so it is treated as a diamagnetic character. It is diamagnetic character. Okay. One more example. So hexa fluorido cobalt 3 ion. Let us try. CO F6 minus 3, F6 minus 3, and now the cobalt oxidation state CO6 into minus 1 equals to minus 3.
Because fluorine is unidentate negative ligand,
Oxidation state is plus 3. So it means it losing 3 electrons. So now cobalt atomic number is 27. It represents as a argon and 4p0 and 4d0. And now here 3 electrons. So 2 electrons losing from the s orbital and 1 electron losing from the d orbitals. So 1, 2, 4, 5. 5 d orbitals available, and in these 5 d orbitals the electrons will be paired up like this. So according to Hund's rule, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 and 4s2. Okay, and 2 electrons is losing from the s orbital and 1 electron is losing from the d orbital. It should be represented like this. Okay, so here fluorine is weak ligand, so and here p orbitals are available and d orbital is also available. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, so now here s orbital and 3 p orbitals and 2 d orbitals intermixing and forms sp3d2. Here outer d orbitals participate in hybridization, so sp3d2 hybridization is formed here, and 6 ligands can donate the pair of electrons to the 6 vacant orbitals. Okay, and so this is sp3d2 hybridization, and it contains unpaired of electrons.
due to 3 unpaired of electrons, it exhibits paramagnetic character.
So it is hexaamino cobalt 3 compound. So now, so the oxidation state of the cobalt is plus 3. Oxidation state of cobalt is plus 3, and it loses 3 electrons from the electron configuration. And now cobalt 27, so 3d7 and 4s2 and 4p0 and 4d0, and these 7 electrons are there. So 2 electrons is losing from the s orbital and 1 electron is losing from the d orbitals, 3d6. Okay, so it should be represent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so like that 6 unpaired of electrons, 4 unpaired of electrons are available, and 4s0 and 4p0. So in presence of cobalt, ammonia is acts as a strong ligand. So due to that strong ligand, so the electron will be paired up. So now the electron will be paired up, and here 2 d orbitals are available and 1 s orbital and 3 p orbitals. So 2 d orbitals, 1 s orbital and 3 p orbitals intermixing, and it forms d2sp3. So this is inner d orbitals hybridization. So 6 ligands can donate the pair of electrons to the 6 vacant orbitals. So it is d2sp3 hybridization. It is diamagnetic character because all are paired electrons. Okay, so like that the paramagnetic nature or magnetic nature and hybridization can be identified by using of valency bond theory. Okay, let us take tetrahedral complex example. So Cu NH3 4 times and plus 2. So this is tetraimine copper 2, and here the oxidation state of the copper is plus 2, it losing 2 electrons, and now copper atomic number is 3d10 and 4s1, 4p0 and 4d0. So now here 2 electron is losing from the copper, so one electron is losing from the s orbital and another electron is losing from the d orbital. Let us represent in a box diagram. So 1, 2, 3 and 4, 5. So 10 electrons and this is 2 electrons. So 1 electron. So 1 electron is losing from the s orbital, so it is vacant 4s0, and 1 electron from the 3d10, so 1 unpaired of electron is there. 4p and 4d is there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay.
Due to some experimental factor, tetraammonia copper plus 2 compound observed paramagnetic character and it has dsp2 hybridization. So due to this dsp2 hybridization, it has square planar geometry.
So this unpaired of electron is transferred to d orbital, and here one vacant orbital is available. So d orbital, one s orbital and 2 p orbitals, and so here d orbital, one s orbital and 2 p orbitals are intermixing and it forms dsp2 hybridization. Okay, so here one unpaired of electron is available. So due to that unpaired of electron, CuNH3 4 times plus 2 is called paramagnetic character. Paramagnetic character. So like that, the magnetic nature can be predicted. Okay. Let us take another example. NiCO4. NiCO4. So the nickel atomic number is 28 and it has argon 3d8, 4s2 and 4p0 and 4d0. Okay. So now here the oxidation state of the nickel is 0. So there is no losing of electron or gaining of electron. So 3d8. So let us represent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 electrons, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So now 4s is there. 4s electrons, 2 electrons and 4p. So now, so cobalt is strong ligand. Due to the strong ligand, so this electron will be paired up. So here one vacant d orbital is available and this electrons, pair of electron is transferred to d orbitals, paired up because in presence of cobalt, so electron will be paired up because cobalt is strong ligand. So it has one s orbital and 3 p orbitals are available, and s orbital and 3 p orbitals, and s orbital and 3 p orbitals are intermixing and it forms sp3 hybrid orbitals. sp3, sp3 and sp3 and sp3. Okay. All are paired up electrons, so it is treated as a diamagnetic character. So NiCO4 is sp3 hybridization and it has tetrahedral geometry. So nickel and CO, CO, CO and CO, and all our electrons are paired up, so it is diamagnetic character. So like that, the hybridization and geometry of the molecule can be predicted by using a valency bond theory. So next class we will discuss about crystal field theory. Thank you.